Hello, welcome back to part 2 of strawberry jam Swiss roll. Mine is very nearly ready, so I am just about to take it out of the oven. Bear with me a second, I'm just going to pass the phone over.
Oh, you don't want to see me. Hang on, there we go.
So, as you can see, lovely golden brown colour, and it's starting to shrink away from the edges of the tin. So that's how, and there's my timer. That's how we know that it's done. So, I'm just going to get a tea towel and hold the edges of my tin. Now, this is the tricky bit that combines a skill of not burning oneself, and also you have to be quite speedy at the flippage. So 1, 2, 3, flip, and out it comes. So you want to be quite quick at peeling off, very carefully. Peel off the baking paper. So don't do it too quickly because you don't want to take a whole load of cake with you. Looks lovely. Perfect, right. So, let's get rid of my tea towel. The next bit, you want a nice serrated knife for. So I use a bread knife. Lots of people don't, but bread knife is kind of my weapon of choice. And you want to go, so I use my thumb to kind of measure about 1 inch in. So I go a nice inch in, and you just want to make a very small, you don't want to cut all the way through the sponge. You just want to make a very small indent, which is just going to make the sponge easier to roll up. So, I've made my little indent. I'm now going to take my baking parchment and just very, very gently roll my sponge up. Now, don't worry about the baking parchment being inside your sponge. That is not a problem at all. Now, some people like to use a tea towel because it helps. You just lift the tea towel up and just put it over, and it will very, very nicely roll your sponge up for you. You can do either. Either way works. But it's what the best thing to do is just have your Swiss roll nice and rolled up so that as it's starting to cool, it's already got this shape. And you just want to leave it to cool down for a few minutes, just so it kind of gets the idea that this is the shape that you want it to take. Otherwise, what you'll get is if the whole Swiss roll cools down flat, you'll then have an absolute nightmare trying to roll it up. It just won't be flexible. That's the best way of putting it. You'll get cracks all down it. It just will be an absolute mess. So if you want your nice, as Mary Berry would say it, your nice signature swirl in your Swiss roll, this is the best way to do it. So mine's just gonna sit nicely. As you see, it's not liking it. It does try and fight against the whole Swiss roll thing, but if you just give it a little helping hand, it will get the idea that this is how you want it to stay for a few moments. So also, one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to put the jam in straight away when it's too hot, because if you put the jam in when the sponge is too hot, it will just soak into the sponge and you'll be left with no jam. You'll just have a very soggy sponge. You won't be able to see the jam, it would just turn pink. So that's something that you don't want. is you don't want to put the jam in straight away. You want to allow your Swiss roll to very gently just cool down. It won't take long, just a few minutes, just so it cools down enough that when you put the jam in, it doesn't just soak into your sponge, because that's not what we want. We want a nice jam-filled sponge. We don't want a sponge soaked with jam. That's not a Swiss roll at all. So yeah, so while you're leaving it to cool down, if you've got to that stage, if you didn't see the bit on preparing your jam that was in the first part, I've got about 3.5 dessert spoonsful of strawberry jam. Now you can use raspberry jam, you can use whatever jam that you want. My kids are big fans of strawberry jam, so we have a lot in the house, so hence why I'm going for strawberry. Also, my mum is a big fan of strawberry jam, so because she's currently on a zero fat diet, so she was thrilled when I told her yesterday that today I was making a Swiss roll, because it's completely fat free. There's no fat in our sponge, so she can actually eat it. So she was delighted that I can take her a piece of Swiss roll and later, because she hasn't had cake in months, which I just think is a travesty, but she's willing to go through it. So yes, so you can either, with your 3.5 dessert spoons of jam, you can either stick it in the microwave for 20 seconds just to soften it up a bit, or I just did a really vigorous stir of my strawberry jam just to get it to the point where it just nicely drips off the spoon. You just want it so it's very easy to spread. You just don't want it to be its normal cold jelly consistency. So my sponge roll, my Swiss roll is cooling down nicely. So the next thing that you'll need, if you haven't got a little palette knife like this, or you've got a bigger one, or you can just use the back of a spoon, whatever works best for you. I find this little jobby really straightforward, really easy to use, and just like using it, to be fair. Very simple. It's called a little cranked palette knife, just because it slightly lifts you away so you can spread it around without feeling like this bit is going to hit your Swiss roll. So now that it's cooled down a little bit, feel free to leave yours to cool down slightly longer, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to have a go at jamming it now. So just very gently unroll your Swiss roll. You'll notice that it's got little creases in it. That's just where you've rolled it up, so that's fine. So if you just very gently, don't want to put too much pressure on it, just want to very gently unroll it just to the point. Don't worry about flattening this bit round, because you don't want to break off that end bit that you've scored. So just very gently. Now, you don't want to put tons and tons of jam on, because otherwise, as soon as you roll it up, it's all going to squirt out the ends, which might be nice for some, might be exactly what you want. But for me, just going to put some nice big dollops of jam in the middle. You also don't want to spread your jam too close to this end, because you'll find that as you roll it up anyway, it will get closer to that end. So you really don't need to spread it too close, because it will just naturally get there. So we're just going to put all our jam here. And give it a nice good old spread. So you don't want to go too close to the edges, but then you just want to make sure that you have a nice even coverage. And I'm sure this is where I'll find out that I haven't got enough jam out, but we won't worry about it because there's more jam in the fridge. So so yes, so nice bit of jam, not too close to the edge, just nicely spread out across your sponge. Got a nice big bit there. Got to love chunky jam. So we're going to spread it all the way out. And I am going to need a bit more. So if you get to this stage and you do need a bit more jam, I'm just going to go to my fridge fridge and get some more. Hopefully you've still got some jam left. I'm probably just going to do another nice big dessert spoonful. Give it a nice whiz around with the spoon. Just get it nice and liquidy. Not too liquid, but you know what I mean. Spreadable. A spreadable consistency, that's what we want. We're just going to chuck it on here. Do a bit more spreading. So as you can see, I'm leaving a nice little gap at the edges, because also you can trim. You might want to, if you want it to look super smart, you can just trim off the edges, just like they do on Bake Off. They trim the edges to make it look all suitable for Paul Hollywood. Now, right, okay, so now that we've got all our jam nicely and evenly spread, we're going to roll it back up again. So this time you don't want your baking parchment to roll up with it, you just want to be rolling the sponge on its own. Just very gently to try and keep that nice tight swirl. We want to ease. So as you can see, your jam is already spreading out. So that's why we don't want to. We want to get all the way to the end. And I am going to have some spillage, but that's absolutely fine. So I don't mind a bit of spillage at all. Love a bit of jam. So now that we've rolled it up, you'll be looking at the end going, I can't see how that's a Swiss roll. But this is where the magic happens. So I'm going to take one of my nice plates. Oh, sorry about the noise. It's quite loud. I didn't prepare a plate. That was something I'll learn for next time. Prepare a serving plate. No worries. Here's the plate. Just one I prepared earlier. So, very carefully. You just don't want to drop your Swiss roll now. You spent a lot of time making it. Please don't drop it. So I'm just going to arrange it nicely. The plate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off with my serrated knife the very ends of the Swiss roll. And fingers crossed, we'll have something that looks vaguely like a jam Swiss roll. There we go, look at that. Now, I'm going to do the other end, just for neatness purposes. Look, nice water full of jam. Because who doesn't want a water full of jam coming out of your Swiss roll? It's homemade. We don't mind. Who's going to eat it? The kids. Kids aren't going to mind for a bit of jam. Stuart stood behind the camera going, yeah, I'll eat that. So, fingers crossed, it looks nice and appetising. But as I say, dead easy to make with the kids. Oh, look at that. That end's probably even better. Dead easy to make with the kids. 3 ingredients. So they'll love it. And look what they get at the end of it. And they'll be so chuffed that they've made a jam Swiss roll. Now what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to get my caster sugar and just sprinkle, because my caster sugar's disappeared, so I'm just going to sprinkle a bit more sugar on the top, but if you want to, you can decorate it with icing sugar, you can put little circles of buttercream on the top, you can put fresh fruit on it, double cream. The possibilities with the Swiss roll are pretty endless. I will also put down a recipe for doing a chocolate Swiss roll. Literally just as straightforward. You just don't put as much self-raising flour in and you add a bit of cocoa. Otherwise, exactly the same process. Don't necessarily have to fill it with jam. You can fill it with double cream, fill it with cream and jam. Just be careful with your layers that you don't chuck too much filling in. Otherwise, it will all end up water falling out the side. So, hopefully you've enjoyed spending your Sunday morning learning how to make a Swiss roll, because I know I have. So I look forward to, if you want me to, doing another one very soon. So, yes,